friends. Think of a time when you've had a really great conversation with someone you really resonate with, where there's this natural cadence, an exchange of ideas. There isn't one dominant or one subdominant, it's just a flow. And both people feel empowered. And how about the opposite? Where you're involved in a conversation where someone just keeps running their mouth. And then somebody else joins in. And they do the same. And the brain starts to freak out. What's going on here? It's chaos. Or maybe chaos. Enough of that silliness. Really, what that led me to think about was, is there actual multitasking going on during free improvisation? And I wanted to get to free improvisation, meaning, where the musicians agree. We have no preconception. There's no key, there's no rhythm, there's no pre-planned anything. We're just going to play. And we're going to use our ears, and we're going to listen, and we're going to interact. And so I did a little bit of homework on this, which I didn't in a previous video. And I put it into Gemini, the Google version of ChatGPT, and it said, no. The answer to the question is ultimately no. There is no multitasking going on. Instead, it says, improvised music is complex, integrated task switching and coordination, requiring the brain to simultaneously perceive, create, and act, blending idea generation with focused action in a rapid, harmonious loop. Cool. So there's no real multitasking. It seems the general consensus is that that's a myth. But something that is really making me ponder this idea is, why is it that with language, when more than one person is speaking at the same time, we have such a hard time understanding either conversation, yet in music, multiple people can be playing and we don't have that same problem. And the reason I'm thinking of this is I came across a podcast a long time ago, and I tried looking up and I couldn't find it. I wanted to share it with you, but I couldn't find it. And it was basically someone saying how the development of language in human evolution, while it has many great things, including the ability to exchange complex ideas, one thing that it did do is kill our intuition, or dampen our intuition. And I was kind of fascinated by this, and I wanted to understand that a little bit more. And it went on to talk about the idea of language using symbols, how a word is, of course, a sound wave that hits our ears. That word is then turned into a symbol. Dog, for example, right? That sound comes into our ear, and our mind says, oh, that means, and then we see an image of a dog. Right? So there's this translation layer from sound into symbols in the brain. And that was interesting to me. And then I thought, well, is that true in music? And it seems to be, the answer to that seems to be no. There's not a translation of frequency, notes and chords and rhythms into symbols. There's just this immediacy, and maybe that's why when we have multiple people playing at the same time, we can understand it. But if we have multiple people speaking at the same time, we cannot understand that, because we are all transmitters and receivers. right? We can all receive signals through our senses, and we transmit usually through our voice. But this idea was quite fascinating to me, so thought I'd put this video out just to maybe encourage some conversation about what's really going on in this case. AI is telling us a certain thing, and it mostly resonates, but not completely. So why is it that we can have a much more dense musical context and that's okay, but as soon as we have a dense language context, that gets very, very confusing. So I'm just curious on what other people might think about this. Let me know.